You said go. Vote again. We have to vote again to start over.
Yeah, no, we don't have to.
We are
vote to
live.
go back into- I move to go back into open session. We did that. We did that already? Yeah, we did that.
Okay, cool.
We don't need to vote to go back. Well, we already voted to go back in from the closed session.
Okay, gotcha.
We're just back.
Okay.
And we will report out.
Okay, so has it been the custom to vote to reconvene the live session? What's the policies typically?
No, we haven't voted to go
start.
back in. Well, we actually took the vote in closed session.
To close.
Return to open session.
Okay,
So
good.
that's where then the live session will just pick back up, but we will first say what we did in the closed session.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Which Joyce will do.
Yes.
Okay.
Are we back, Cody? I think-
Yes, we're live now.
All right, the full board met in closed session, we did take an action. We voted to approve the performance incentive pay for our executive director at the maximum contractual amount.
Thank you. All right. Now going to new business, which we'll again ask Joyce to oversee this matter.
Okay, thank you. As we mentioned before, we're at the point in the year where we're looking at what are our goals going forward for 2024. We gave Aaron a year to get his feet on the ground and to look at what needed to be done from his perspective to help our library continue to be one of the best in the country and one of the largest. So we've asked him to put together a list of goals that are above and beyond the day-to-day running of the library, and to do some visioning and some planning and some thinking ahead and some give us some idea of a direction for the coming year to help our library to meet our mission, which is to enrich our citizens and communities through expanding access to innovation, information, ideas, and inspiration. So at this point, I will turn it over to Aaron to talk about the goals that you really found.
Thank you.
Next slide, Cody.
Slide. So before you are 5 goals that we've worked on to present to the library, and I don't know if you want me to read them verbatim or paraphrase. I'm happy to do either. Paraphrase. All right. The first basically speaks to this need that we need to continue our investment in connectivity. And what I mean by that is we are a technologically advanced library system, but there's more investment needed, I think, in the digital tools necessary to kind of bring our branches closer together and just tell the story of our community. And so what this would look like in practice would mean the establishment of a department that's solely devoted to content creation and digital storytelling. And I think this would dovetail nicely with our 2 mission enhancements of Story Center and Midwest Genealogy. Our service area is vast, and the one thing that I've heard loud and clear is that some communities feel isolated from others. And so using technology, I think we can tell the story of our community and bring people closer together. This will require an investment, and to do that, I think some planning is needed. So what we're committing to this year is the piloting of some ideas just to see if they work, but really to develop a comprehensive technology plan with actual dollar numbers and resources attached to it so we can see what we need to bring the library forward in the coming years. The second is a continuation of the back end work that we're doing with our policies and procedures as they relate to finance. We will conduct a comprehensive review of all of our contracts, in particular those which exceed the amount of $100,000. Really what we want to do now, we have Sarah here with us, is one, to make sure that our contracts are really benefiting the library, and that we have the most advantageous terms in the agreements, but also we want to be fully transparent with the board so that they're aware of the types of agreements we're engaging in. So we will review these contracts, renegotiate them as that comes up, but also will propose policies to the board that I think would give the board, bring the board more involved when it comes to contract approval. What this would look like in practice is for agreements that exceed this amount, you would then have a presentation from the vendor and staff to let you know what the terms of the agreement are. We would be asking for authorization to enter into those agreements. This is a best practice of library systems, governmental entities all across the country. And I would advocate for that being a practice here at MCPL. Second, the third one, don't worry, I'm not proposing that we embark on a construction project. But I think that a front burner issue here is the condition of our headquarters. And to do that, we need to invest in really planning the program for a headquarters in the years to come. And what I mean by that, is this the right size building? Is this the right number of staff? Is it the best idea to renovate the building or renovate portions of it? Maybe rebuild on this property or relocate? And to do that, we'll need to enlist the support of architects and design firms that really kind of help us walk through what that would look like. In talking to PMC about this, Ellis's boss told a story which I'm very familiar with. In Cleveland, I'm saying, well, what you want to avoid, I'm not going to name names. What you want to avoid is just because you can, rebuilding a headquarters without really figuring out what it is you need from a headquarters. All across the country, you see large corporations doing this very thing. Only 5 years down the road, it's shuttered or sold off to another company. And so the fact of the matter is, we don't have the answers to whether or not this is the right size for our staff. We do know that it's an aging facility that's in need of significant investment. And we want to prepare a report that we would present to the board that would make some recommendations in this next coming year. The fourth one, Ron alluded to. So we really will develop a targeted strategy when it comes to services in under-resourced communities in Platte, Clay, and Jackson County. Most people, when they hear under-resourced, they think of areas that are maybe economically disadvantaged. But what I mean by this, in Northern Platte, you have a collection of 3 or so branches that serve rural communities. In Eastern Jackson County, you have the same. Our current practice is to treat these as equals, right? They're the same as a coal burner or a Green Hills. But the fact of the matter is they function very differently. And so what I want to do is really think about what services suit those communities best. Closer to home in Independence, we have a gem of a service that's underfunded right now, and that's the Farview Ranch. It's a building that we lease from the local school district. It's a very small footprint, but it serves a great need to the community. And so Farview is the house of it houses a small collection. Outreach staff work there, and there's also a food pantry. So that one we really need to revisit and think about, what works best for this community and what can we do to kind of elevate the level of service at that location and a handful of others in Independence and South Kansas City. So there too, we will present a report and we will ask for the board's feedback when we really come up with a clear vision for what this investment strategy would look like. And lastly, is to continue the work we're doing with relationship management when it comes to governmental, nonprofit, and educational institutions. Partnerships really are a great way, or leveraging our relationships with partner organizations is a great way to benefit the community that we serve by placing critical services within our branches. We're so large that it's easy to lose sight of, or lose track of who the key players are within our community and how we can leverage those relationships to the benefit of our patrons. So over the coming year, we're going to do a lot of work on defining what it is to be a top-tier partner, really giving some clarity to what those relationships are and what we're responsible versus the partner, and hopefully making a difference in communities in need. So a continued investment there. And these are the 5 goals. I think Jim Staley had a great idea that as it pertains to this 5th goal, there really is a need for a quarterly update to really kind of to talk about the relationships that we have and the partnerships that we're entering into with the community that we serve. So we'll make every effort to do that and update you as time goes on. So these are my goals. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Let's do it.
Okay.
This is great. You put a lot of thought into this, and
Yeah.
you've learned from all your visits in the community. Any comments from any questions or comments from those online?
Hi, Erin. This is Noelle. I love
Noelle.
these goals. Thank you so much. These are great goals.
Thank you. One just closing comment, I won't talk too much, but our size is a strength, but it can also be a challenge at times, right? Where I come from, there's only one superintendent of schools to talk to. Here, there's 21. When I came here, I'm like, well, which churches are the biggest ones? And they're like, take your pick. Like, they're everywhere, right? Like, there's not like a pastor that you go to that to partner with. Homeschooling is another one, right? It's a growing community within the state, but it's much like a charter system where there isn't a central office that you can call. So this requires a lot of work on our end to make those contacts and figure out how best to serve those communities. So.
Just like make one quick comment. I love all the goals. This is Marcy Gregg. I keep forgetting to say that from Rob Langer. I'm particularly impressed with the first one because one thing that has always struck me as a strength of this system is that it has been on the forefront in the library industry, if you will. It's been known nationally as cutting edge, as being the place to look to what we can. And I love all the goals, but the first one speaks to me particularly because we're forward-looking. What's the next thing that we will do as a library system that other systems across the country will look at and say, yeah, that's where we need to go. So,
Yeah.
Good goals.
Thank you.
Anyone online before we go to vote? To approve? Okay,
Yeah, this is Yummy. I'm sorry.
okay,
Yeah, I just wanted to say again, I appreciate everyone. When I read them over, I was just pleasantly surprised that how I thought that, yeah, each one are very relevant. And yeah, I think great job, Erin.
Thank you.
okay, do we need a motion?
We have one.
Yeah, here's a motion.
Here's the motion. Okay. Pretty simple motion. Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and do we need a?
Make the motion.
You have to make the motion and get a first and a second and then we can vote on it. That's what I thought. All right, so as personal chair, I'll make the motion to approve the 2024 Library Director and CEO goals.
A second.
Oh, take your pick. All right. Teresa, did you take a roll call?
Ask any questions. You can always just ask.
Okay, any other questions before we go to vote?
Health question.
Okay, Teresa?
Trustee Michelle Wyckoff. Trustee Rita Weiss.
Yes.
Trustee Ronald Davis.
Yes.
Trustee Yemi Pandolfi.
Yes.
Trustee Michael Lazio.
Yes.
Trustee Lori Lemunion.
Yes.
Trustee Noel Stepp.
Yes.
Trustee Susan Wilson. Trustee Gordon Cook.
Yes.
Trustee Joyce Tucker Burgo.
Yes.
Trustee Robert Johnson.
Aye.
Trustee Marcy Gregg.
Yes.
Trustee Susan Wilson.
Michelle dropped off. Text me.
Okay. Cody, is Dr. Wilson still on the line?
Dr. Wilson is still on the line, but I'm not hearing anything from her.
Okay, fantastic. So motion carries.
Thank you, Joycelyn. Next now is trustees' comments.
Actually, we're down to the announcements. Announcements.
Announcements.
Before you are a list of dates. Important thing to note is February 6th is Library Advocacy Day. We have ALA Midwinter and February 9th through 13th. The library is closed on President's Day. And looking further out, in early April, we have the PLA conference. And we bring this up, trustees, if you have any interest in attending PLA, you can contact Teresa and she can help you. We're nearing the deadline for registration. If you want in, I highly recommend that you attend, but we need to move quickly.
It's especially urgent on the housing.
It's the housing piece
The
that's.
housing piece.
It goes quickly, yeah.
Oh, Columbus.
Columbus.
Public Library Association Conference. It's in Columbus, Ohio this year.
Columbus is wonderful, not as wonderful as Cleveland, but
Partial.
yeah.
Line United.
So that's
it?
that's
Okay,
yeah.
great. Thank you. And now to trustees' comments.
Michael Lazio. Yeah, I'd just like to say again, Aaron, thank you for really going after things in your first year. That's amazing. Again, I'm just struck by the fact you had no idea, what was happening to a fuller extent. We talked about a few things during the process and all that, but there's no way to unpack everything. And so you didn't let those things phase you, which is remarkable. And so I just want to say thank you. You're the man. You're the right man at the right time. And, we acknowledge that, all of us. And so we just want to say, keep going. Personally, keep going strong. We're with you. We support you. And just thank you again.
Yeah. Well, you're right. There's a lot to kind of wrap your arms around, but I couldn't have done it without the executive team that I work alongside. They've been very helpful and transparent and shared everything that I've learned over the past year. So I'm very appreciative of their help also. So.
Yeah, so that should be said for Susan. Thank you, Susan. You've been here a long time, and I can't imagine what support, that you were for Aaron, just helping him navigate through some troubled waters, let's put it that way. Bridge over trouble. Diana, thank you. Jim, you're pretty amazing and all in your own right. So, thank you. And so it's been a great ride.
Richie and Teresa as well.
Yeah, Teresa.
And our new additions.
Yeah, where would we be, without Teresa? I have no idea. Richie, you're amazing. Just every time I look at you, man, I get stirred up. It's like, come on, let's go.
And can't forget Jennifer.
Oh yeah, Jennifer is not with us.
Jennifer keeps us all in line.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, that's for sure.
I think she's well aware of her value.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
I have
Right,
a quick, just
Please.
a quick one, just to make a note, because I know people watch this and I hope some patrons might make note. I was at Blue Springs South Library last week, maybe a week before, and I noticed that you can check out fishing gear at that library. I was pleasantly surprised, so I shared that on Facebook with some friends, and they just all thought that was fantastic. And a couple of them said, "Oh, I'm going to share that with my son so he can check out a pole for his daughter because my son loves," and so on. Anyway, but just another example of the doors that we open for people, new experiences that children and families can have together that are out of the box thinking. And I love that about this system. And I'm just so glad that I've now hit, if my count's right, 13 out of our 39 locations, and I count like this building as locations to visit. So I'm a third of the way through visiting the system, and I just love every library, every facility that I see. I look for something unique and different in them, and I find those things, and that's important. So kudos to staff for all that you do.
Thank you.
I want to piggyback with what Marcy was saying. I was telling Aaron the other day that someone posted on a community page in Lee Summit, where is somewhere I'm new to town, where's somewhere where I can go to study? Post after post after post. So you pick any of our wonderful renovated branches. This one's got that one's got that. It was wonderful to see how many times the libraries were listed, so kudos.
any other comments? I just had a couple. A few weeks ago, one of the library's YouTube presentations, I found it really quite fascinating. It was presented by a monk in a religious community or abbey in Illinois. And the guy had a PBS program for a number of years. And what he talked about was baking. And he tied the deeply spiritual and cultural seasons we just had in Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa. And he talked about something as simple as wheat-based baked goods as to how they enhance the experience of these festivals and feast days. I thought it was just fascinating. And that's the comment. The question is, it's a question to which I have no idea what the answer is, but how in the world can we get the news out to people like me who pick it up after the fact? These are just treasures that I think are offered. Another comment completely unrelated, in going over, again, Facebook or whatever that is, I saw notice of different warming centers in Clay County. A number of those were the branches, and I just think that's an absolutely just wonderful, responsive way for the library to participate in very real needs of the areas surrounding the branches. And much thanks to Richie and his crew for making this available. And Richie also mentioned too, in the summertime, when there are areas in desperate need of cooling, the library's really there, get exposed to books at the same time. And the last comment is, in the back of these handouts, there's statistics, and a couple of just really jumped out to me. And they were, okay, the active card holders from a year ago is up 25,000, which struck me as being fantastic. And in the customer transactions for the door counts, it's up by 20,000 since last year, which is a 13% increase. So much congratulations to the branch managers and all the personnel for just making all this happen. I'm done. Any other comments? Okay, could we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second's been moved and seconded, we adjourn. All in favor, just voice vote, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.